What would you do if you found out on your wedding night that your entire marriage was a lie? Not a small lie, not an innocent secret, a calculated, coordinated con, one that started before the first date and was already well into motion by the time you said, "I do." Chloe found out the hard way. She was hiding under the bed, playing a romantic little game she'd seen in a movie, when a woman in red heels walked through the door of their $10 million penthouse using a spare key she had no business owning. The woman sat on the edge of the bed, right above Chloe's head, and made a phone call. And the voice that answered shattered Chloe's entire world in under 3 minutes. A mother-in-law with a plan. A mistress who was already pregnant. A husband who had chosen profit over love from day one. And a conspiracy to slowly, legally, strip Chloe and her family of everything they had ever worked for. She could have screamed. She could have run. Instead, she lay completely still on that cold floor, listening to every word, and building the most devastatingly quiet response anyone in that family ever saw coming. This story is a reminder that surviving betrayal isn't about revenge. It's about reclaiming who you are with so much grace that the people who tried to break you can't even look you in the eye. If that speaks to you, like this video and share it. Someone out there needs to hear this today. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss a story, and tell me in the comments, what would you have done in Chloe's place? This content was manually researched, developed, and edited by our team, crafted with purpose, to bring you meaning and real-life lessons worth carrying with you.
She looks so radiant, but his smile doesn't touch his eyes. He's looking at her like a trophy he's already put on his shelf. His mom is sitting across from me, all perfect posture and icy smiles. It feels less like a wedding and more like a business deal. The incredible life her family built for her means nothing to him. He doesn't see a partner, he sees an inheritance. All those stories he told about romantic gestures, they weren't memories, they were a script, and he was just practicing his lines on us. Her capacity to trust is her most beautiful quality, and I can see in his eyes that he thinks it's her biggest vulnerability. I feel sick. He can't stop checking his phone. It's a tiny thing, but it feels like he's already betraying her, right here, right now. For a split second, a look of cold triumph flashed across his face. I try to tell myself I'm just being a protective friend, but I know what I saw. Her home is so full of warmth and love. To him, it must just look like territory to be claimed, not a family to join. He looks at everything she has, not with love, but with this chilling entitlement, like it was always supposed to be his. He calls her innocent, but the way he says it makes it sound like a flaw, like he hates the very goodness he pretends to adore. I watched him step away for a tense, quiet phone call. Suddenly, the whole party felt heavy, like a secret was poisoning the air. His mother hugged her, and it was a master class in acting. Every move was perfect, but there wasn't an ounce of warmth behind it. They spun this whole tale about coming from nothing. What a lie. The ambition in their eyes is sharp and predatory. There's a silent signal between him and his mother. A partnership. And my beautiful friend isn't the partner. She's the mark. The way he treats her like she's a delicate doll, it's not protective. It's possessive. And it makes my skin crawl. He talks about their future together, but all I see is a demolition expert planning to take her life apart, brick by brick. He was always a little too interested in her finances. He said it was planning. It felt more like he was casing the joint. I've always admired her kind, open heart. I never dreamed someone would use that beautiful heart as a weapon against her. She handed him her entire world, her home, her trust, her love, and he accepted it all like it was something he was owed. He cloaks his arrogance so well, but I can see it. That quiet certainty that he's pulling one over on all of us. I remember him having her sign some papers. "Just a formality," he said with that easy smile. A helpless anger burns in my gut. He doesn't want to share a life with her. He wants to take her life for himself. The difference is terrifying. To them, my friend isn't a woman to be cherished. She's just a stepping stone to get what they want. The thought is just crushing. A dark question is twisting in my stomach. What's going to happen to her once he's gotten everything he came for? I had to stand there and listen to his vows. "I will cherish you," he said. The words were gorgeous, and they were absolutely meaningless. As they were leaving, I wanted to physically block the door, to scream at her not to go, but she just got married. What could I do? The way he gripped her arm to lead her out, it wasn't a gentle guide. It was the firm, controlling hand of an owner. I've seen how he calms her fears with a soft word or a calculated touch. That's not love. It's the art of a con man. There's a whole other person inside of him that she has never met, a past he keeps under lock and key, and it's a wall between them. He turned his back to take another call, and for a second, the happy groom disappeared. All I saw was cold, raw fury. God, I hope she sees something tonight. Anything. Just one little crack in the perfect fake world he built around her. He promised her everything. But I'm starting to realize the only thing he plans on giving her is heartbreak and destruction. Watching him lead her away felt like I was failing her, like I was just standing by, watching her walk right into a trap. He looks at the beautiful life she leads with this toxic resentment. It's pure envy, but he calls it his ambition. I heard later that he got wasted and passed out. It just sounds too perfect. It sounds less like a party foul and more like a strategy. I gave a toast about this man, telling everyone how he would take care of her. I feel sick knowing he's the one danger I never saw coming. I keep searching his face for a hint of real feeling, maybe some guilt. There's nothing there, just a cold, calculating void. The groom who passed out from drinking too much. It's the most brilliant cover. Who would ever suspect the guy who couldn't even make it through his wedding night? Everyone keeps saying how lucky she is. They have no clue. We just smiled and waved as a wolf walked right into our lives, dressed as a sheep. I ended up driving by their house later that night. I just parked and stared at the windows, my stomach in knots, feeling like I had let her down. The simple, heartbreaking truth is that she loves him, and my love for her is no match for the man she chose for herself. They were all laughing, helping the drunk groom to bed. But I wasn't laughing. It felt like watching them lock her in a cage. He was carried into her room like some kind of trophy. He's a Trojan horse, brought right through the gates to destroy her life from the inside. I know her. I know she would have taken care of him with such gentleness. Her kindness is the very thing he'll use to destroy her. The lights in their room went off, and I'm just sitting here in my car, in the dark, choking on how powerless I am to protect my friend. I saw the light go out in her eyes the day he showed up. That's a look a man should never put on the face of the woman he loves. He shook my hand and swore he would always protect her. I have to believe the universe has a special kind of hell for men who break that promise. She is my sister, my chosen family, and he was just taking her apart, piece by piece, inside the home she built with so much love. Our usual morning text never came through. That's when the sick, cold feeling started deep in my gut. I could just see her in my mind, knowing something was terribly wrong. That way you can just feel a storm rolling in. It kills me, she felt that alone. I was her maid of honor. Those vows weren't just to her. They felt like a promise to all of us who loved her. They had to mean something. We all trusted him, so a prenup felt wrong. They took our faith in him and turned it into the very weapon they used against her. Then she told me his cousin was staying for a bit. The lie was so lazy it was more insulting than the truth would have been. I could hear the sheer exhaustion in her voice, that fake brightness she uses when she's trying not to fall apart. It just broke me. And of course, his mother was there too. I still remember her handshake, like a cold, dead leaf. She was the perfect accomplice. He always had the perfect line, didn't he? He charmed all of us, me included. I feel like such a fool for ever buying his act. She was still talking about their future, about baby names. My beautiful friend, planning a life in a house that was already a crime scene. They just strolled into her sanctuary, the home she was so proud of. It was a desecration, plain and simple. His mother played the part of the loving in-law so well. It's painfully clear now that she was just another predator in the house. And my friend, with her gigantic, trusting heart, just opened her door and welcomed in the woman sent there to ruin her. She told me the woman was wearing the wrap I got her for Christmas. Such a small, quiet, and vicious way to torture someone. And he just stood there and watched it all happen. Her protector, her husband. He just watched, calling her a cousin. The disrespect is breathtaking. It was like they were laughing in her face. And his mother was right there, smoothing it all over, weaving the lies. A nest of snakes, the two of them. She's like a sister to him, she told me he'd said. That word coming from them felt dirty. They targeted her decency. They saw her compassion not as a beautiful strength, but as a weakness they could use. The other woman played the victim, and my friend, who would help any soul in need, walked right into their setup. She just seemed so broken, my girl told me. She was offering comfort to the person who was there to steal her entire life. I have never felt so angry. They must have been getting a real kick out of it. The thought of them secretly laughing at her kindness makes my blood run cold. This was never an accident. This was a coordinated attack on her life by the people she should have been safest with. But when she saw that rap, her rap, it might have been a small thing, but it was the first crack in their story. She said you could feel the air in the room change. Her gut was screaming. God, I wish she had listened to it and run. They actually tried to guilt her into giving it away, her own gift, a sick little power move in her own home. And she gave it to her, just to keep the peace. That's my friend, always the peacemaker, appeasing the wolves at her door. Then came the Chanel handbag I got for her 30th birthday. The way her voice broke when she told me, she knew. It was real. They took it from her while he just watched. This was never about a purse. It was about systematically stripping her of her dignity. It's fine. We're family, is what he told her. He used that word to excuse every single betrayal. I can't stand thinking of her trapped in that house with them, drowning in their lies while her world fell apart. And she still went to work that day to provide for all of them, while they stayed behind in her home, plotting her destruction. I bet he even kissed her goodbye at the door. The level of contempt you have to have for someone to live a lie that complete is terrifying. I know the moment that front door clicked shut, the whole act dropped. Her home wasn't hers anymore. They were just claiming her life as their own, spending her money, building a future on the wreckage of hers. He let another woman play house in the home my friend poured her heart into. There is absolutely no forgiveness for that. She told me about the $5,000 transfer. He had some smooth excuse, but we both knew it was just the beginning. He wasn't just stealing her money, he was stealing the future they were supposed to have. He was robbing her of her life. Her trust is such a beautiful, pure thing, and he treated it like it was his own personal slush fund. To use the possibility of a child as a cover for that kind of calculated greed, it's absolutely monstrous. All I wanted to do was drive over there and pull her out. But sometimes you have to let your friend find the strength to walk out on her own. My best friend, my whole world, was just an obstacle to them, a problem they had to manage to get to her money. So I just waited by the phone. My only job was to be ready to catch her when she was ready to fall. That's what we do. That house was supposed to be her beginning. We celebrated on the floor with cheap wine. But for him, it was just the end game, a prize built on lies. I'd lie awake, sick with a feeling I couldn't name. Seeing her so in love and knowing he was a stranger in her bed felt like a violation I was helpless to stop. He probably thought her open heart was a weakness. Men like him always do, but I know her. She's a force of nature, not a fragile thing to be broken. There's a special kind of dread that hits you in the middle of the night. You worry about monsters, but never the one she invites in and gives a key to. Their little conspiracy must have felt so solid. They never saw her coming, never imagined the strength she held. She was just a problem to be managed. To justify his own fraud, he had to believe she was simple. We all saw the mask he wore. I just prayed she would finally see the monster underneath it. The thought of him taking things she told him about her family and twisting them for that woman. There's no word for that kind of rage. Her home should be her safe space. She gave him her trust so completely. He took that sacred gift and used it to build his web of lies. Her love was the only thing making him untouchable. While she was dreaming of a future, he was meticulously planning her ruin. He thought he was building a cage, but my girl was never meant to be contained. I had to smile and welcome his so-called cousin into her home. Watching him play the doting husband for my friend made me physically ill. It was pure poison. The way he kissed her cheek was a public betrayal. It was an empty performance by a hollow man. I wanted to scream at the sheer disrespect. I watched her try so hard, her smile so real. He stood there between them, a prize he hadn't earned. A silent war was happening, and she was the only one unarmed. When she called them family, the word felt like ash in my mouth. Her whole future was teetering on a knife's edge, and her pain was their foundation. The second she left the room, the act dropped. The energy turned cold and predatory. I felt their true purpose settle over us like a shroud. We heard her bedroom door click shut. The look that passed between him and his mother was chilling. The show was over. The vultures were ready to descend. She has no idea. His mother actually smirked. Then he called her a fool. To hear my best friend talked about like that, by him, it was a declaration of war. He called her manageable, and that woman just nodded. Then she started talking about the house, her voice dripping with greed. His whole act was a lie. He told them to be patient, but their brand of greed doesn't wait. I sat at my friend's table and listened to him plot how to play the loving man. He laid out his strategy to feign heartbreak to win her sympathy. The cruelty was stunning. He saw her destruction as a noble sacrifice for his affair. His mother called his betrayal brilliant. They talked about leaving my friend with nothing like they were closing a deal, dividing up a life that was never theirs. I can just see him making some gesture, a joke that wasn't a joke. It was a cold promise to erase her so his new life could begin. She saw his cruelty as some kind of master plan. They celebrated her ruin while discussing baby names. It was a victory lap in a war Chloe didn't know she was in. The plan was simple: play the victim, get the house, and use her own family against her. He was going to put on a show for all of us, for his mistress. He was so sure he could manipulate her, break himself down just to break her spirit. She would offer him comfort, and he would steal her future in return. He looked at her home, her security, and saw his prize. We saw it as the foundation for her life. To him, it was just another thing to take. Let her think he's hers. The very idea makes my skin crawl. She was sleeping next to a stranger who was counting down the seconds to her destruction. The thought of her waking him gently, her soft voice, her touch, he tainted every intimate moment. Every act of love from her was just another move in his sick game. He claimed she was pulling away. Thank God. Her gut was screaming at her. Then he planned to use his own mother's cheap gifts to manipulate her further. His mother's pathetic little offerings were just props in their play, crafting a story of struggle in a home filled with my friend's generosity. It was a desecration. I saw that woman sit in Chloe's chair at the head of the table, a flash of pure arrogance. She was staking a claim on a life that would never belong to her. His mother's jab about real food was the first open attack. I saw the flash of confusion and hurt on my friend's face as she looked at those grocery bags. Are those for us? The loaded question just hung there. I watched him perform his false shame. He was a disgustingly good actor. You know you get my paycheck. The most perfect, devastating lie. He gave her pennies while he was secretly draining her life savings. It was a masterpiece of deceit. Then the cousin jumped in to defend him. For a split second, they were a pack of wolves, turning on Chloe in her own dining room. It was vile. But then, my girl laughed. Not a weak sound, but a clear, strong one that cut through all their lies. She glanced at that woman's stomach, and I knew. She saw it all. Jessica has a point. Her voice was light as a feather, but strong as steel. She was taking their pathetic little ambush and turning it into her own stage. I watched my friend walk to the beautiful bar we'd picked out together, and in that moment I saw her, a queen taking back her throne in her own castle. These are from Jacob. She set the expensive bottles down. It wasn't about a gift, it was a power play, a quiet reminder of who really held all the cards. His mother's gasp about the cost was so predictably greedy. In one ugly, grasping moment, she revealed their entire pathetic game. But that's my Chloe. She turned it masterfully into a question of his honor, his respect for her family. She backed him into a corner with his own ego. Right, Jacob? She handed him a loaded gun, and he had to smile and take it. I saw the look on his face as he agreed to toast her family with her own expensive liquor. My hands were flat on the table, but inside I was vibrating with pride. My best friend was a warrior, and she was winning. He's in her car now, and his mind must be racing. He has to know the game is up. He has to know he messed with the wrong woman. He'll give her the silent treatment now. It's a coward's weapon. He'll try to make her feel guilty. But she's not the same person anymore. She'll ask him what's wrong. That's my Chloe, always leading with her heart. But this time, I know she's listening with her head, and she won't fall for the answer. Chloe told me he came to her, saying he was in so much pain. He spun this whole narrative about a fight in the car. He had the nerve to say he wasn't good enough for her. He weaponized the whispers about him being a gold digger. He actually said his life with her was a living hell. And my sweet girl just held him, like she always does. She truly believed their love was the only thing that mattered. He twisted her kindness into an attack on his fragile pride. He even used her own family's home as a weapon against her. So she brought this broken, sad version of him to her father. He showed up at their house putting on this big show of defeat. Her dad told me he watched him walk up to the door all alone. The guy forced a smile and called her father, "Sir." Then he swore he'd never let anything bad happen to her. Chloe just kept insisting their happiness was what counted. Her dad saw him secretly snapping pictures of their house. Then the real performance started with the sound of glass shattering. Her poor mom saw tears, but her dad saw the calculation. He threw himself onto his knees in the middle of their living room. They told him to get up, but he just stayed there, performing. He actually called himself a kept man, a total failure. He was trying to wound her father's pride, not earn his pity. He claimed this was all to protect Chloe's honor. The nerve. Then came the big, dramatic gesture, a worthless IOU. He said their house should feel like his home, too. He was so sure he'd won. Her dad knew better. An IOU inside a family is just a piece of paper. Her mom was heartbroken, so they caved to his demands. He wanted $10 million. He wanted their home. But then my girl, my brilliant Chloe, stood up to speak. She agreed way too fast. Her dad knew she had a plan. An IOU is just paper, she said, throwing his words back. She warned him the gossip would only get worse now. Her dad just stood back and watched his daughter take over. She told him to buy his half of the house with cash. Then she laid the perfect trap, a fake investment, a 300% return. It was a beautiful, obvious lie. She offered him her own spot, pretending it was a huge sacrifice. Then she pleaded with her dad to help the man she'd just cornered. Her dad played along perfectly. He told the guy no. He was so blinded by greed, he didn't even see the trap. The man begged her father to say yes, and that was it. He was done. Her dad got the transfer alert, $5,000. She said you could hear the raw hunger in his voice on the phone. He scrambled to borrow money, and Chloe offered him a loan. She put his name on the deed to her house, an act of such pure, trusting love. He'd make these sweeping promises, and I always knew he was in way over his head. Then she mentioned some papers he needed her to sign. My whole body went on alert. A post-nup, he called it, to protect her from his business debt, and she believed him. Bless her heart. He agreed to an infidelity clause without even flinching. I can't get over the gall. She really thought that document was a shield. She never saw he was holding a knife. He told her later he hesitated, but it wasn't guilt. It was just him running the numbers. That man looked my friend in the eye and lied while living a double life in her own home. He signed it without reading a word. He called it trust. I saw a con man's signature move. That night, he was practically glowing with pride, talking about the future like he owned it. My sweet friend fell asleep feeling safe while he was in the other room plotting with his mother. His own mother was on the phone with him, mapping out how to strip my girl of everything. He actually laughed at her generosity, using her home as leverage for his escape plan. That brand of greed must be a family trait. To them, she was never a wife, just a bank account. He was bleeding everyone who cared about him dry to build some pathetic fantasy. His whole family was in on it. A quiet, vicious little conspiracy happening right under our noses. When his family's money wasn't enough, he turned to men who don't play games. They were planning their dream mansion, and the down payment was my friend's shattered heart. And then we found out about the other child, his secret son, a betrayal so deep it still feels unreal. Every lie he told just dragged him down further, wrapping him tighter in his own darkness. She was just an obstacle to be managed, an account to be emptied. It makes my stomach turn. He'd play the doting husband, then text his mistress from her couch, mocking her trust. He was playing house with her and their kids while he had a whole other family, a counterfeit man. He was building two separate futures at once, one of them on the ashes of my friend's life. And it all started with $50,000. That was the seed money for her heartbreak. He called her his ATM. That's all he saw when he looked at her, a machine. I'm sure there were voices in his ear cheering him on, keeping his eyes on the prize. He actually talked about making her disappear, the desperate sound of a guilty, cornered animal. They had names for her, idiot, a TM, anything to make the crime feel less monstrous. He used her money to court the very woman who was helping him orchestrate her ruin. The man my friend loved was a ghost, just a carefully crafted performance to fool her. She knew in her gut something was wrong, but he just kept telling her she was tired, that it was all in her head. He was meeting with criminals. He invited that kind of danger into her world. He lit a match to his own life, expecting some paradise to rise from the flames. He was using her own money to destroy her. The absolute cruelty of it is breathtaking. He just kept signing away her security, piece by piece, without a single care. The people he took money from aren't the forgiving type. He put my friend in their crosshairs. He was terrified and thrilled all at once, gambling with her life as if it were his to lose. He saw her gentle heart and mistook it for weakness. He never dreamed she saw it all coming. All that rage was just his own emptiness staring back at him, so he tried to make her empty too. He even asked about her mother's emeralds, her family's legacy. Nothing was off limits. He was whispering promises to another woman, the same ones that belonged to my friend. He called his deception a masterpiece. All I could see was a cheap, ugly, pathetic trap. I just picture him waiting by the phone like a child, needing his mommy to help him steal. He was obsessed with the profit, 300%. He never once thought about the cost to her soul. He sold her this whole fantasy life. My Chloe never wanted a kingdom. She just wanted to be his wife, out in the open. She told me he swore it was a sure thing, his eyes begging her to trust him. And she did, every single time. It was all she had left. She'd let herself dream about it sometimes, that life he promised. That tiny spark of hope was the only thing holding back a terror I couldn't shield her from. He built his entire dream using her money. Then he had the nerve to claim it made them even, as if her world was something he was owed. That day she called and said the house felt like it was shrinking. I can just picture him, trying to smile while the panic was eating him alive. His mother's car pulled up, and the sound of it was like an alarm. Chloe watched him bolt out to meet her, the air thick with his desperation. The woman looked like she was shattering, clutching a cheap bag like a lifeline. She darted inside and pulled the curtains, shutting out the world he'd made for her. He sent his own cousin to lie to her parents, to take their entire life savings, everything they'd ever worked for, scraped together in a worn-out bag. It was $300,000, a lifetime of work for them. For him, it was just another chip in his game, and it was never going to be enough. Then he brought a new name into their lives, a man from the South Side they called Frankie the Razor. The name alone felt like a punch, a loan shark. You didn't need to be a genius to figure it out. A cold dread settled in my stomach because I knew he was too far gone to stop. "There's no other way," he'd yelled at her. The lie had become a monster he had to feed, no matter who it devoured. The other woman saw her opening in his panic. She dreamed of seeing my friend brought to her knees. That pure venom fueled her. Driving to that meeting, he was playing the hero in his own mind, but he was just a desperate man gambling with my best friend's life. He kissed Chloe goodbye on his way out, feeding her some lie about a client. The casual cruelty of it, that absolute disrespect, still makes my blood boil. He was so obsessed with belonging in her world. All she ever wanted was for him to be a man who could stand on his own 2 feet in his. "Be careful," his own mother warned him. My girl just stood there in silence. There were no words for the kind of risk he was taking with their lives. For 2 hours, Chloe's entire future hung by a thread. She was waiting on a new life built with a criminal's money and a back-alley handshake. He said the man stared right through him. The price for this whole charade was $650,000, a deal with the devil, $1 million back in 30 days. He told her he agreed without a second thought. The arrogance of a man who had nothing to lose. He even tried to use her family's name as collateral. They laughed right in his face. In their world, her name meant nothing, a small, bitter pill to swallow. They made him sign his name in blood. They filmed it so they would own him. He swallowed that humiliation, telling himself it was for some noble reason. He didn't come back broken. He came back buzzing with this sick energy. He held that bag of cash like it was a crown, convinced he was finally a king. The debt was all his, but he walked into Chloe's home, pale and trembling, and acted like he'd just won a war for her. He didn't go to his cousin. He went right to my Chloe, dropping the money on her table like a hunter showing off his kill, a performance for just her. He actually told his cousin later about Chloe's smile of relief. He used my friend's happiness as a weapon to hurt the other woman. The cruelty was bottomless. The next morning, he walked into her father's office. He was invading her world, and I was terrified we would never get him out. That same morning, the other woman was floating, so sure that her moment had finally come, so certain that she was about to be chosen. There was no fancy penthouse office, just a small, sterile room and a hollow title. Head of compliance. It sounded like a cage. He sat in that meeting, totally out of his league, nodding along to talk of shell companies, trying to look like a man who belonged there. 30 days. The number was a constant drumbeat in his skull. He signed the papers without even reading them, blinded by his own fantasy. I remember her father saying his hand was shaking while he signed. He later told the other woman he felt nothing but pride. He hadn't signed an investment deal. He had signed a confession. He gave my Chloe everything she wanted in a box filled with poison. For weeks, he let my beautiful friend live inside that perfect lie. They planned a whole future he had already sold off. Chloe told me about the other woman's knowing little smiles. My friend thought it was jealousy. She had no idea it was pity. He walked into a silent house. He heard Chloe's voice, and she said it had a tone he'd never heard from her before. Pure ice. She found the cousin in her bedroom wearing her necklace. My Chloe's necklace. And he just stood there watching it happen. My blood ran cold when she told me what she said next. "Does my necklace fit you well?" The calm before the absolute storm. The other woman started fumbling, panicking, but my friend saw it clearly. This wasn't just a fight. It was the quiet, cold click of a trap being sprung. "Take it off," my Chloe commanded. And her husband, the man meant to protect her, actually moved to take it off the other woman. That's when the cousin made her play. A scream, a fall, a hand clutching her stomach, an accusation so disgusting it still steals my breath. "He pushed me, my baby." His mother burst in and immediately slammed my daughter against a wall. She assaulted her in her own house, screaming about a grandchild that was a complete lie. I saw the security tape. He wasn't mad about the lies or the assault. He was furious at Chloe. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. And in that moment, I saw everything clearly. He called my friend poison. He stood there performing for that little red light in the corner of the room, thinking he was winning. And then I saw my Chloe smile. A chill went down my spine. "In 2 days," she said, her voice like honey and arsenic, "I'm giving everyone a gift they will never forget." For 2 days, I watched her move with this terrifying poise. While he was posturing, she was preparing. This wasn't a party her dad booked. It was a stage she had set. I was with her. For a month, she forged this perfect, brutal piece of justice. He thought tonight was his grand entrance, but he was already a ghost. When he came down, he only had eyes for his mother, a woman poured into a truly offensive red dress, a total insult to Chloe, her family, and this home. Then I saw the other one, his cousin, wearing Chloe's late mother's emeralds, and on her finger, a ring her dad gave her as a little girl. A cold fire just lit inside me. "You look just like a millionaire's wife," his mom chirped at her. The girl touched the stolen necklace with a thief's pride, and Chloe saw every second of it. I heard the woman whisper, "You'll get the house, Jacob," in my friend's home, wearing her family's heirlooms. My disgust was a cold, hard stone. There would be no mercy. He smoothed his suit, a little boy playing king. "In front of everyone," he said. "They won't dare do anything." The fool was pointing a loaded gun at his own head. Then Chloe appeared, putting on a smile that just shattered my heart. "Ready?" she asked him. "We shouldn't keep my father waiting." "No, boy, you really shouldn't." He put a hand on her arm, a touch that was proof of his treason. "You look amazing," he lied. In the car, he was dreaming of a future I had helped her prepare to incinerate. My own heart was a slow, heavy drum counting down. They arrived at 10 p.m. The room was packed with our friends. Every single witness was in place. Watching his mother and cousin enter was like seeing predators scent a meal. Their eyes were wide with a cheap, desperate hunger for a life they could never have. And the girl, Jessica, puffed out her chest to show off the emeralds. As her parents greeted them, Chloe caught my eye. A silent look. We were ready. "Take them to the VIP table," her mom said, her voice like steel. He just swelled with pathetic pride, leading the architects of his downfall to the best seats. He couldn't wait to perform. "Dad, I have news," he began, faking respect. The investment paid off. The whispers started, exactly as she'd planned. I saw the contempt in her dad's eyes. "Ambition is good, Jacob," he told him, a warning the idiot couldn't hear. "But a man needs to know his place. We'll talk later." He was dismissed, and he took it like a challenge. He felt powerful. We needed him on that pedestal to make the fall that much harder. Then he just walked onto the stage. He didn't wait to be asked. He grabbed the microphone. It was perfect. He was seizing the weapon of his own execution. The room went silent. "Friends," he began, "I'm Jacob Davis. I have a gift for my father-in-law and for my beloved wife, Chloe." Beloved. The word made my stomach turn. His mother was actually clapping as he stared at my friend. "A month ago, I risked our last million." Our million. It was Chloe's inheritance. Today, that risk is $3 million. I'm buying my share of our home. He was so proud, so completely blind to the abyss waiting for him. It was some speech. The applause was confused and polite. He stared down at Chloe, expecting tears of gratitude. He had no idea what was coming. That's when she gave him a real smile, the one I'd been waiting 2 days to see. I watched his triumph curdle into the first hint of fear. Her show was starting. She stood and walked to that stage, and I felt so proud I could burst. She took the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, her voice perfectly calm, "my husband has done so much, so I have a gift, too. For him, his mother, and his cousin." Her eyes landed on the girl, and the entire room turned. Panic flashed across his face. "Chloe, what is this? Let's talk at home." My friend just smiled at him. "Oh no, a surprise this good needs an audience." She turned to the tech booth and snapped her fingers. "Roll the presentation." The screen lit up, bathing them in a cold glow as the house lights dimmed. It wasn't a happy montage. It was a massive ultrasound. Patient, Jessica Miller, and at the bottom, 2 perfect damning words. Spouse signature, Jacob Davis. A single gasp sucked the air out of the room. Then the whispers erupted. "Isn't that his cousin? It says spouse. Oh my God, the mistress is pregnant." The blood drained from his face. He stumbled for the mic. "It's fake," he croaked, his voice cracking. "Chloe, it's a setup. That's not me. I don't know her." The lie was pathetic. I saw his mother go down in a heap of red sequins. The cousin clutched her belly, face a mask of terror. It was over. He tried a weak little laugh, but Chloe's voice cut through the noise, cold and sharp. Then the speakers came alive, playing their own vile words. We heard it all. Every greedy, whispered plot since their wedding day now echoing for everyone. His mother, the cousin, their schemes laid bare for the world. Then his own voice talking about my Chloe, about a tragic accident. The silence in the room felt heavy, like a physical weight. It was the sound of judgment. Everything becomes mine. The words hung in the air, toxic. I watched our friends look at him not with confusion, but with pure, undiluted revulsion. They finally saw him. The room erupted. Someone called the police. Security moved in, a calm wall around us. His entire world had just shrunk down to the size of that stage. He was on the ground, clinging to Chloe's leg and babbling. They made me say it. "Chloe, I love you." The words were just empty noise. "For the 3 million, he wept, obsessed with the money to the very end. I watched her look down at the creature at her feet and use her shoe to push him off. 3 million? She laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "You're still dreaming." On the screen, a new video started. A face from his worst nightmares. 1 million in 30 days, the loan shark's voice boomed. "Or I take a leg." And then, a close-up of Jacob's own bloody thumbprint on the contract. "That secret project, Jacob?" Chloe leaned into the mic, her voice a knife. "That was me, my company. I set a little trap just for you." I watched his mind break. "It was not an investment," she said, twisting the knife. "It was a gift to a loan shark. You will never see a single penny of it." He made a wounded sound and looked to her father, his last hope. "Tell her it's not real," he begged. Her dad just looked at him with cold pity. He was never one of us. His voice was ice. That $1 million wasn't for their family, and in that moment his world just ended. My friend had won. A single paper floated down onto the stage. "Remember this?" she asked, her voice like silk. I saw his signature. I saw the trap he never saw coming. All debt is yours. He was completely and utterly ruined. My heart just sank when she told me. He called it a mortgage. Such a clean word for a deep, dirty wound. $30 million. That was the price he put on her trust, on the good name she'd built. He had gambled away everything she worked for, but she wasn't going down with him. Then the doors opened. The actor arrived. I watched my friend's masterpiece start to unfold. The coward fell to his knees. He saw the setup and actually managed a pathetic little smile. "Where's my million?" the actor demanded. The boy just shook. A cold rage settled deep inside me. And then that monster pointed. At her. At my friend. "Her jewels! She has it!" he cried out. He was nothing. A parasite willing to sacrifice the woman he loved to save his own skin. I watched her rip the necklace off. She screamed his name. It was a perfect, heartbreaking performance. He struck my friend. "Glass," he spat, the word echoing in the awful quiet of that room. It was all worthless. "My family's heirlooms," she whispered, looking at the fakes he'd given her. "You married a con man who owes the mob $1 million. The truth finally had a voice. Then his little girlfriend lunged forward, screaming about her $50,000. It was just pathetic to watch. He hit her back. They fought on the floor like animals. "It's all your fault," she shrieked at him. Her mother jumped in next, clawing for her $300,000. A whole family of hyenas. And right on cue, through all that ugly noise, we heard them. The sirens. It was finally time. "Police!" The word was a hammer. He used her name, Jessica, like it was some kind of shield. I saw her give the detective the smallest nod, then the sound of clicking steel. It was done. "Jacob Davis, you are under arrest." He looked at her, his eyes begging. I was wrong. "Please," he whimpered. But she only showed him pity, not the hatred he deserved. That's her strength. In the silence, I put my arm around her shoulder. Then applause broke out. For her. The new VP. 15 years. The judge's voice was hollow. His life was officially over. He'll rot in there. I heard his mother had a breakdown. His greed shattered everyone around him. His accomplice walked free, but now she has his child and a life spent looking over her shoulder. She's hiding, a prisoner without bars. The divorce is final. My best friend is finally free. He has no future. Just the slow, grinding reality of a life he completely threw away. In that cell, his life is over. But for my incredible friend, a new one has just begun.